been like for you?
Well, it's gosh, it's for a lot of it. You know, know in the recruiting class pretty much what's going to happen, and then and still to this moment, there's still some suspense out there. So, you know, and even though you think about all night, what's going to happen actually on signing date. So, it is truly a great day. Every time we get to add some names to Oregon State football roster, it's a major deal to us because countless hours have been spent in the recruiting of this class, and I'm really proud of, first of all, our coaches for the work that they do, putting in, building relationships, putting in time, because this is more than just, just a guy making a decision about where to go to eat. It's one of the first major decisions a young man has in his life is where he's going to go to college, and when he has opportunities and options and going through the processes, it's a great deal. We feel privileged to be a part of it, and so now we get to present this class to you and to our team, to the Beaver Nation, and so I want to thank our coaches, our department, who plays a big part in recruiting, to our faculty that help us immensely, spending a lot of time of their own time with recruits. It truly becomes a community event, and it's especially fun to be a part of. In looking at the class in total, I think I told you a long time ago that we needed to get some offensive linemen in our depth, and so I'm real excited about this group. This is an outstanding group of guys that I think, in general, we'd say that offensive linemen, they redshirt most of the time, but I think we'll have some guys that can make an immediate impact, that will definitely compete to play in the games and compete to start. So that's kind of unique in that regard. And then, and then we wanted to get some athletes, more athletes, that safeties, defensive backs, corners, and we've got a good group of those guys in this mix for sure. And then with that, we wanted to get some experienced linebackers, and I didn't think we'd be able to get two. We were after, at the end, we almost had three, but we ended up with two JC linebackers, and guys that have played that I think fit our style real well and fit what you need to do in college football. They're active and good football players. And then besides that, we kind of hit a smattering of a bunch of stuff, which was important. A receiver that I think is really good, and we were going to probably be in the market for no more than two, but maybe one receiver, and we got one right this minute. Another one is due to make a decision in an hour, and we'll see what happens with that guy. But Malik Gilmore is a great player. We're excited to have him. We went after a very limited number of running backs because we have a lot in our system that I think are good players. But we thought, okay, we're going to recruit these three guys. If we get one of them, that is a big deal. And Chris Brown is one of our new players, our new tailback. And of course, we got one quarterback in the class, and it was our first choice as we went through it early on in the year. Brent Vanderveen, the quarterback, and then we needed some tight ends, and Caleb Smith and Dustin Stanton, two outstanding players from the state of Washington that are added to our roster. And then I saw a guy on a visit to see Weinrich and Vanderveen when I made a trip down there during the bye week to watch them play. I saw a kicker, and I thought he was really, really good. And so we signed Garrett Owens, a kicker athlete out of Arroyo Grande that I think will be a great addition to our program. I think he was Brent's leading receiver down there at Arroyo Grande, and he plays on the basketball team, so he's a real good athlete and a tremendous tools as a kicker. So, there will be some gray shirts in this group, but in general, I think we hit the numbers that we needed to. in most areas. You know, we at one time had 4 corners committed, and we ended up with probably 1 true corner. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to try some other guys, maybe a Zach Robinson, a Cyril Nolan. We might put those guys and look at them, you know, for versatility at corner. But, you know, that's just the way it went. But we feel great about the group of DBs that we got. You know, when you look at guys like Chris Miller and Kendall Hill from Houston is an outstanding prospect, and I don't want to leave anybody out, so let me just recheck this thing to make sure I've hit those guys. You know, with our we always pay attention in state, and Jay Losey recruits the state for us. Always does a nice job of looking around, and I think, for in our opinion, we got the 2 best players in our state, and Isaac Seumalo and Joel Scotty, and we're really excited about those 2 guys and proud of the production that our state has put out there, as always, so we've looked at that hard. Okay, I'm going to now open it up to any questions that you might have.
Mike, could you talk about the athlete who's considered the #1 guy in the class, Isaac Seumalo, a little bit about the background on that? And it's interesting that people say this was going to be a sure thing because of his dad, but in retrospect, Coach Cav might have had more influence in this thing.
Yeah. I think that, of course, we've known Isaac for a long time, and we really left no stone unturned in recruiting Isaac. Because he's Joe's son and Joe is our defensive line coach, we did not take anything for granted, and I think that. In doing that, we're being fair to him because he ended up being one of the most highly recruited guys on the West Coast. I mean, he basically could have chosen where he wanted to go in the country, and so we left no stone unturned in how we were going to go about recruiting him. And I think Coach Cav's relationship with him, of course, Isaac is you know, he had the benefit of knowing us the best, and you know that either helps you or hurts you, and. So we were glad for that. We love the people to get, you know, we want guys in the end that sign that letter that know why exactly they're coming, and I think Isaac does. You know, I think that he's had a chance to look around at wherever he wanted to look, and chose us because this is where he wanted to be, and I think his family left that wide open to him, and as late as a couple weeks ago he took a trip to USC. So, you know, it was definitely a process with him, but obviously a great prospect for the Beavers.
You mentioned some guys may be here in April. Do you have that pretty finalized on who those might be?
You know, that I'm not sure I can I say that, Gundy?
I wouldn't right now.
Yeah, we got a couple guys that are interested. I don't think it really matters. I think it's, you know, if Caleb Smith, Caleb Salo, if they finish all their stuff, which Caleb Smith I know has already done. I think Caleb Salo's working on it. They could be here in April for spring ball.
Your thoughts on Haziak, the kid who started at UCLA, and where he fits in with you guys next year?
Well, you know, when Stan Haziak left, and we had recruited him when he was out of high school, he was a really good prospect back then coming out. Of course, chose to go to another place, and then for his own personal reasons went back to junior college, and then we followed him, watched him, and started recruiting him. And you know, he is a guy, obviously, that will play an impact in the competition right away.
I know you touched on it a little bit, but you said you got the 2 best players in the state. How important is that to you, that you keep the best guys here?
Well, I think I know Oregon, Chip does a great job of paying attention to our state, and I know that we do too, and I think that's a foundation point for us in our recruiting, is that we're going to always take care of our home base, you know, and do a good job in our state of evaluating it and looking hard. And then, of course, we're going to now go out and look at you know, the best guys that might want to be walk-ons for this program from our state, and we've been so fortunate through the years with the guys that have walked on, earned scholarships, and made big impacts in our program right from the state of Oregon.
Last year, a lot of the running game problems kind of was designated to the offensive line. Do you feel like you addressed all the issues that you needed to get done?
Well, we wanted to have offensive linemen in this class, and now, starting on Monday, we're going to go to work on football, and we'll start placing these guys in spots for the upcoming year, and getting back with our own team, working through our off-season program with them and getting ready for spring practice. And really, we have to make a lot of strides in the spring. And obviously, one of those is getting back to a great identity of what we do running the football.
And then, I guess, any holes you feel like you were not able to address? Or?
I would have liked to have gotten another corner. We like I said, we had 4 committed, and things go one way or the other for, kids have choices, and they get bombarded at the end, and, so guys are going to do what they're going to do. And like I said, we're totally pleased with the class that we have, because I think these guys know why they chose us, and I'm happy with it. But, in the numbers game of what we would have liked, I would have liked one more corner. And that's really the only thing that happened today that was a little bit of a disappointment. But we'll get over that fast and get on with the next part of it.
Mike, were you under the assumption that Cleveland Wallace was coming here today? I mean, was it kind of surprising to you at all that he signed with Washington?
Yes, I was surprised, and yes, I did think he was coming, and that's the recruiting world out there, and that's life, and we would certainly respect Cleveland and his family and all the thoughts that they went through, and we appreciate the time they accorded Oregon State. So we're thankful to that family, and we wish him the best.
2 tight ends in the class. I mean, what was the thoughts behind 2 of them, since you usually play 1 at a time? And
well, we really wanted at least 2 tight ends, we had more guys on the line for a while, but 2 was a real good number for us. Tight ends are hard to find. It's a versatile position. So we're looking at guys that are athletic enough to run down and make plays. We have got to get good production in the passing game out of our tight end, catching the ball. So he's got to go down there and run a route and beat a defensive back, and yet he's got to block a defensive end. So the combination of those abilities are not easy. So finding those guys, and in finding Caleb and Dustin, we are really, really excited about their possibilities here. And they're versatile, big athletes. And Caleb Smith is physically mature right now. I mean, he's ready to go. Dustin Stanton will be really, really fun to watch as he gets older and stronger and bigger, because he's right now he's a heck of a basketball player. He's got great size, broad shoulders, great athlete, and what really drew us to him initially was just athleticism, and it was first clip I ever saw of him was playing basketball. So, it was fun to take it from there and get him committed. And then Caleb Smith, I think, is one of the best prospects around. We're proud we got 5 guys out of the state of Washington, and Danny Langsdorf recruits Washington, and then of course our position coaches all help in that. But we did real well in the Northwest recruiting this year.
And I see no defensive linemen at the moment. Was that something you just didn't worry about, or you just couldn't find any?
It was not a priority as far as numbers, because you guys know we had the same numbers last year of defensive linemen that we have offensive linemen this year. So it became an offensive lineman year for the emphasis in recruiting, and a really, we recruited some defensive linemen, but not many, and we were very, very selective as to who it might be. We may, even in the near future, pick up a guy, but probably that will be it. But a lot of that part of it, the defensive line, was definitely by design. We just, with the number of young guys in our program and looking at the numbers that we have in total, we just couldn't fit any more in.
And then back on picking up the kicker, I mean, you already have a kicker as a freshman. Just thoughts behind getting 2 young guys in your program in the same position that you usually don't do that?
No, we don't usually do it, but that's why we're probably going to gray shirt Garrett Owens, and then, and then if indeed, he'll come in and compete for the job. If he doesn't have it, he could red shirt, and then there'll only be 1 year head to head. He would still have 3 years to go. Otherwise, at the point when he gets here, and after he's been through a gray shirt, go to spring practice, go to fall camp, he might win the job. and then we would have 2 on scholarship. And if he doesn't, then we'll play it out, and he can, like I said, they'll only go head-to-head for 1 year. And I just saw this kid, and I didn't want to let him go. He is a good player, and had a couple other offers. But the neat thing about Garrett Owens, he recognized the coaching of Bruce Reed and how we handle special teams, and the fact that they really get coached all day long. You know, it's not a tight end coach coming over and working with special teams, and then when you're done, he goes back and coaches the tight ends. Bruce is a developer. And you know, just about every year, and this year we have 2 of them that have developed while they're here, and they both have NFL possibilities, our snapper and our punter. And we seem to have one guy like that in our specialist area, which is a small group almost every year. A kicker, a snapper, a punter, somebody that's going to have a chance to continue. And I think these kids out there in this world now, they know a lot about this stuff. And so I think the fact of what Bruce Reed does and has done played a big role in him wanting to come, and I think he's a talented kid.
What did you offer?
Well, you know, we actually had him up here on an official visit, because after I saw him, I was intrigued by him. We didn't make an offer at that time, but I wanted him to see the place and see if I could figure out a plan for him when he came. And so through the course of time, our plan was not exact. I just told him, let's think about how we're going to do this, and you think about it, I'll think about it, and then, you know, when the season's over, we can talk about it. And so this plan was not actually finalized as to how we might be able to do it with him a week ago. And so presented that to him, talked to his dad. They talked about it, and then obviously elected to sign with the Beavers.
You mentioned him as a gray shirt. You're probably going to have a few of them. Are any guys set to gray shirt that you know of or you can say?
Well, you know what? Let me define that later on. Yes, some more guys have been talked to about gray shirting. I will give you a more vivid picture of that later as I see our whole roster take shape. Brandon?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, does Haziak's academic past at all trouble you, or did you guys have a talk about that? Or
Well, you know what he's done is he's done everything that he's supposed to do in JC, and that's a great sign, right? I mean, Stan is looking for a new life. You know, he started one place and then decided to take a left turn and go to junior college and kind of recharge and get going again. He's done doing everything he's supposed to do, and that's the best sign, right? A talk is one thing, but actions are another. So I think that Stan Haziak is doing what he's supposed to do to be able to take the next step. I think he's really, I think we're getting him at a great time. I think he's really excited about taking his next step, and he's a talented guy.
All right, we have one if you want to put your headset in. From Zach Hall at the Bend Bulletin.
Hello, Zach.
Hi, Coach. How you doing?
We're proud to have one of your Bend guys coming over to Oregon State. We're really excited about Joel Scotty. He's a great athlete. He's a great linebacker. He did a great job of running the football over there. So we're really proud of him choosing Oregon State.
All right. You know, what specific characteristics did you see in Joel that made him attractive?
What specific characteristics did we see in Joel? Mm-hmm. You know, first of all, it's very simple. His size and his speed and his productivity. You know, he was a real productive runner. He's a great producer on defense, making plays, and of course he's like physically ready to play. He could make an impact right away because he can run. He's big enough right now, and he's a very good athlete. I love a middle linebacker that's also a runner, like Keaton Christic was a great runner in high school, and I love the combination of a middle linebacker or a linebacker and a sprinter in track. That's a pretty good sign right there. Yes, we have him definitely earmarked to play defense. He's one of the 2 young linebackers that we're bringing in, and we have recruited him all along as a linebacker. Thank you.
You said you lost a couple of cornerbacks late into the recruiting process. Can you talk a little bit about how much, losing your defensive backs coach so late into the process affected that?
Well, it might have affected one guy in the class. I would say that that's possible, and that's part of the ramifications of what you get into. You spend a lot of time and a lot of money in doing this stuff, and then a lot of this. And you see it all over the place. The timing of a coach leaving, whether it's an assistant coach or a head coach, can affect some decisions. And I would say that one of them may have been, not necessarily do I know that, but one may have been affected by that. But that's rather subjective, and something in the long run. We're getting past that right now today. We're on to the next deal.
And then another thing I was thinking about was, a lot of your skill position players like Sean Mannion or, Agnew are younger guys. How much of that was used in selling to recruits that our guys are young and, when you're playing a lot, we should be pretty good?
Yeah, well, I didn't have to sell it. These kids know. I think one of the great things about the recruiting process now is I think the recruits are smarter than some of the adults that are trying to recruit them. They have an awareness about them that's pretty special, and some of these guys that have that awareness already know, that they can look at this roster and look at who's there and then fit themselves in and see that vision, and that's really important, I think, and so that's absolutely a major factor in what a lot of these guys are doing.
Mike, obviously a logistical challenge of recruiting somebody in Samoa, but what is the challenge of just evaluating a player from there and where he fits?
Bob, that's a good question, and probably in the old days that would have been really, really difficult. But with the way technology is today, and I'm not a technological guy, but we get film. We get pretty darn good film from Samoa, right, Gundy? I mean, it's football film, and they're playing in a stadium, and it looks like football. And so you can evaluate it and look at these guys as athletes. And I got to make a trip over there, and it was one of the great times I had in recruiting this year, was going and spending a day. And I visited 5 high schools and did a home visit and saw the stadium that they all play in, and it was fantastic. So it is... the world has gotten smaller that way, and so the film that we got, I think, was really, really, obviously, very crucial to our evaluation. And there are some people over there that are aiding the ability of coaches here to be able to watch those guys, to make sure that they get exposed. And really, what they're trying to do is help these kids with opportunity. And wherever it might be, junior college, small college, major college, whatever it is. And so we were proud to be a part of that process and be able to sign a guy from Samoa.
Are you looking to open that to do some more?
Absolutely. We hope this is a connection that continues to grow. And that was one of the reasons I went over there, not only to recruit these guys, but to meet these people. So you make a connection, and at least, when you're recruiting future guys, they know who you are, and hopefully know a little bit more about you, so they feel more and more comfortable with where they might be sending their kids.
You said you didn't necessarily expect to get 2 linebackers, junior college kids. You obviously wanted both of them. Specific things on each guy, what you like?
Run and hit. Really physical players and can run. And that's why I said earlier they fit what we really look for in style. And I think that they can make an immediate impact in playing in the games.
Mike, Cav's quote on Isaac's late visit to USC was that he, quote-unquote, puckered up. I'm wondering what your reaction was, and were you a little nervous because, some kids just want to get out of the area?
Absolutely, and I think as much as you hate it, because, you want to feel secure in what's going to happen, it puts some doubt in it because, the guy is making a visit. He is going to be, quote, recruited, and who knows how that's going to, in the end, fit him. Because I think the family, Karen and Joe, did a great job maybe giving advice, but also letting him be a little independent in this process. And Isaac was great. He came to me, told me man to man he'd like to make a visit to USC, even though he'd been committed. And in the end, when I look back on it for him, I'm glad, because he was able to explore and then make a new decision, where he could make the statement, I liked USC, but I love Oregon State, and this is where he's going to be. So that in the end, when you hear that you can say that was a good process, and frankly, I am glad because he saw it all, right? He had made all the other visits, but here came USC, and that was intriguing enough for him to want to take a look. And I would never stop a kid from making a visit. I don't think that that's right. Even though you don't like it, I think that that's what the recruiting time is for. And that's why there is a signing date. And up to that date, kids should be able to explore and learn. I have found, however, that it helps them to make a decision a little bit earlier than signing date, so that signing date becomes a celebration and easy for them and fun for them, and they go to school and they have their Beaver stuff on or wherever, and then they can celebrate. But if they don't know on this day, it becomes hard, and they can get confused. They don't know what to do. And I think my advice for all future recruits is to make a decision earlier than the day of signing, because it's not pretty. Oh, yeah, we were in constant contact with them, and yet we tried to honor what their family was going through, which was very, very difficult. I think they struggled a long time, and so we didn't want to be a nuisance. We wanted to make sure all their questions were answered, and that they knew we were ready to help in any way we could, but we didn't bombard them. They called me this morning, and I thought he was coming, and then a little bit later he had decided something else, and so that's what he decided to do. And like I said, all I can do at a point like that is, admit my disappointment, but thank the family for all the time that they gave us. We had a great run with them in the recruiting process, and I feel good today because they know who we are, what we do, and how we approach our business, and I'm proud of that. And because somebody made another decision when they have many choices, that's up to them.
Mike, do you envision Chris Brown getting a chance to contribute right away?
Yes, right away. He'll be like other freshman backs that we've had in this program that have, will come in here and get turns right away and see what they can do with it. He's a really good player, and there have been guys like Quiz that we said, okay, come on in here and compete. Let's see what you can do. If you can earn the job, we'll go get it. And Malcolm Agnew was like that a year ago, so as a freshman. So we'll certainly do that, and it's not going to be anything that we have a lot of predetermined thoughts on. We're going to let them play.
Coach, you only got one corner, but his dad was all right. Did you know Tyler and James? And
I knew James Hasty, and I talked to my friends working in administration in the NFL, and I told them we were recruiting James Hasty's son, and they referred back to the player that James Hasty was, and he was a terrific player, and I coached against him when I was in the NFL, and have a ton of respect for him. So that became a sidelight in being fun in recruiting Tyler. And this kid is an athlete. He's a quarterback of a state championship team. He's a defensive back. He might be a safety. He might be a corner. He might be a slot back. He might be a wildcat quarterback. He's a player, and it reminded me, and I can't make this comparison, and you guys know it's unfair, but watching his film and watching Jordan Poyer's film, a lot of similarities. They did everything, right? You watch the film, and this guy's doing it all, and so it's fun to see a football player like that. So makes me excited about having him, because those guys like that find a way. They find a place. We intended to gray shirt and then red shirt Jordan Poyer. Neither one happened. He played as a true freshman. And those guys just find a way. They're just players. And wherever he ends up, I think he'll be a good player.
Anybody else?
Thanks for your time. Appreciate you being down here. It's a great day.